Welcome back to the channel. Karen here, and we're going to make a ring from scratch out of a rock that we polished in a video before this. So the link is in the description for that video if you want to check that out. And I wanted to introduce you to my outdoor studio. I love it when you can work outside, when the weather's nice, and you don't have to have anything all that sophisticated to do so. So check this out. So we have a bench pin here and a mallet and of course a ring mandrel to shape the ring with. I've got a jeweler's saw and bits. I'm using my Foredom and Dremel with this project as well. The wax is for the saw blade. This is the cheap and wonderful mobile outdoor studio, a stool that you can attach your bench pin to, a nice cheap office chair, and it's really good to, if you're working in a balcony, to have something underneath so that if you drop your project, it doesn't go to the floor below. And that's the giant Escallonia that I've mentioned in a past video also, that I don't like to lose my stones to. So I do have a rolling cart that I can bring out here also if I want to use the high-tech diamond flat lap out here. It's really nice to work outside, but again, if you flick a project, then you might lose it forever in the giant Escallonia. And it doesn't hurt if you've got a view. To recap, we have this incredible blue agate from the Willamette Valley, Oregon, that broke to create 3 stones from which a ring stone was polished. Actually 2 ring stones. This almost holly blue agate shows some really interesting shapes with its break. And with some time on the lapidary machine, they polished up beautifully. So let's get to making this ring already. First step is to wrap the stones in bezel wire. This will hold the stone to the base in its ring. We're using silver paste solder. I love this stuff. I go through it like chocolate pudding. The paste solder is a blend of flux and solder that sticks where applied, as you can see, so no popping, hopping solder bits. Just fire away until it flows. The bezel is a fine silver, so just heat until the solder is a shiny liquid flow. It's easy to melt down the whole bezel if you're overzealous with the flame. Next up, check to make sure that your stone still fits in its bezel, and mock up a base for your second solder. We're using the triangle stone to show off the bezel and base steps, but complete the mission with the diamond-shaped stone and ring. And here it is now. You can see the solder paste all around the connections. Each time you solder, you go to an easier melt solder so that you don't melt the previous joints. This ring band will be made from 18 gauge sterling silver sheet. With the rusty tin snips, I cut to the desired width. Okay, finally outside to sand the sheet silver's edges to further finesse the ring band. For this, I'm using my Dremel flex shaft with a coarse 3M sanding disc. I prep the saw blade with wax to take the friction factor down. I use a pretty thin saw blade, and they break as easy as you please on the sterling silver. We're making a 2-into-1 ring band, so I'm splitting one side. I love the way this looks, and it makes for a comfortable ring band holding a statement-sized stone. With the basic shape of the band created and the length of this size 7 ring cut, more sanding is necessary to prepare it to solder to the base we made. We also have some work to do on that base. We're going to make the stone backless so that you can see through the setting. So we drilled a little hole in the base to thread the saw blade through. Sawing metal can be tricky with this style of saw, which is called a German saw or frame. Plenty of wax, a light touch, and taking your time will reward your patience. Okay. So the inside is done, now to shape the outside. It's important to take into account what shape for the base is both pleasing to the eye in composition with the stone, but also what will be comfortable to wear. In ring design, you definitely want to take into consideration practicality. You don't want the ring so big that it snags on stuff and gets in the way when you actually want to use that hand. Fashion doesn't have to come with that price. A little more sanding to make it ready to solder to the band, and I usually like to place it on my finger to make sure that the size makes sense. At this point, the shape pretty well needs to be finished. It's hard to make changes after the band is applied. I think we're looking good, so we'll join Lily enjoying the view while the bass and band are joined just off camera. And if you have any questions so far, leave them in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe. Mission accomplished! All the solder joints look good. It needs a little bit of time in the Pickled Days spa to get rid of the fire scale, some sanding with the Beryl Dedeco sander, and we're ready to rock. Literally. Setting the stone is always so exciting. It's when the project really feels like it's on the finishing stretch. Meet my old school burnisher. It's used to close the bezel wire onto the stone. In traditional jewelry making, this is all that holds the stone. No glue. Ah, she's a pretty one. I used the ring mandrel and the rawhide mallet to shape the band and make sure it's the right size. Loaded into the Fordham handpiece is the medium Dedeco sanding barrel. It'll help smooth the burrs and the edges. I'm also shaping those embellishments in the metalwork. The next barrel is blue for fine. It starts the polish on the metalwork. This is very much like lapidary in that the more thorough you are with the shaping and the coarse grits, the easier it is to get a glossy polish. And here I test my catch mat. Whoops! Roll in the pink barrel. This is the extra fine polishing stage. All visible scratches should be gone and that metal should be looking like it's wet. The last stage is polishing paste on a felt wheel. This is auto sol. Most polishing pastes like this, Simichrome, Flitz, and others contain a protectant to slow down tarnishing. You can use a regular rag for this, and you can use this on any of your jewelry to keep it glimmeringly beautiful. So we started with a rough rock, polished it into a cabochon, and fabricated a ring around it from scratch. This has been an incredible journey. Let's see the final ring! This is always the best part, seeing a finished piece in all its glory. Let me know if you have any questions. There will be a companion blog with tips and materials list at ozonefineart.com. And most importantly, thank you for watching and keep creating.